The series of Jujutsu Kaisen has always revolved around one thing, the concept of death. Whether it be through Yuji's initial conviction to make sure that everybody has a quote-unquote good death, or the endless marathon of Jujutsu sorcery that consists of carrying the will of many fallen sorcerers, or just through the countless amount of characters that get dropped in the story. Death has always been extremely prevalent in the series, and despite this, the character with the most death flags in the series, the one who apparently had his fate sealed from the second chapter of the series, and the same person who proclaimed himself to be nothing but a cog until the day he dies, is ironically the one who would outlast everybody he knows and loves, eventually becoming akin to a hermit in the world of sorcery. Yuji Itadori is this character. But what if I told you that of course all stories have an end, and Yuji's more than likely may be coming soon? With the context of the sequel series of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, I do believe that Yuji Itadori's time is coming, and very soon. And in this video, I intend to communicate why I believe this, and all of the evidence proving so. But before we get into this video, my videos will have the least amount of modulo panels in them as possible from here on out, as this series has given me about 5 copyright strikes in the last 7 videos I've made about it. So I'm going to tread lightly from now on, and I'm not really worried as most people do listen to my videos rather than actually sit there and watch them. But for the few that wonder why I'm going to be using stuff from the original series and almost nothing from modulo, and if I do, it'll be heavily modified, that's why. With that said, if you enjoy content such as this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to help the video massively, and now, let's get into it. After Cross would be mortally wounded in chapter 12 of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, Dabura would waste no time in appearing, showing off his immense strength and using said strength to demonstrate why the Japanese sorcerers would likely regret attacking Cross. He makes his people the Rumelian retreat for the day, as Usami's courage and willingness to suffer the blame of all of his comrades' actions reminded him of his late best friend. He decided to spare all of them. However, as Dabura heard from the Rumelians that sorcerers were killing cursed spirits that were basically sacred beasts to the Rumelian, they'd request that the Japanese government would choose to protect all cursed spirits rather than exterminate them on sight as always. There's a massive problem with this though, as majority of cursed spirits have been contained within Tokyo due to the events of the Culling Game and propaganda spread in the Jujutsu Kaisen Universe. If they aren't maintained and eliminated constantly, they will eventually break out and run rampant across the entire earth. So yes, it's imperative that they're constantly hunted down by sorcerers. So with the aliens pushing this request, we see how our heroes are in a real bad situation. We see in the chapter that our heroes can only hold out for about a month, before having to go back to Tokyo at night in order to sneakily eliminate cursed spirits. But as the Rumelians can sense when a cursed spirit is killed, even when they're not present thanks to their third eye, they know that their request was not only violated, but disrespected behind their backs. Dabura is the only alien who is not Rumelian specifically, so he sees that his people are hurt, and he takes action. He pushes for the Japanese government to hand over the cursed spirit infested Tokyo to himself, and if this request is rejected, he would like to fight for ownership over it in a one-on-one duel, and this duel is accepted by the Japanese government. As they accept this duel, there's only one obvious choice for a character who can represent the sorcerers, Yuji Itadori. But where is he? Still missing, of course. Dabura would be shown in this same chapter speaking about how Yuji was only appearing for the funerals of his friends, and even after attending so many, he would tell her that he's no longer even going to attend those, never to be seen again. His grandfather had laid a curse on him to help as many people as he possibly can so he doesn't die alone like he did, and it still seems as if, despite him being the man who saved the world, it came at a price. Ironically, Yuji's grandfather's wish is the one that cursed him into solitude, but we'll get into that later. As Yuji's not an option, Yuka Okotsu is next up, and as she was going to die anyway due to her illness, she's very clearly just using herself as a scapegoat so nobody else has to die against Dabura. First and foremost, as Yuka is supposedly a protagonist of the story, I think it is unlikely for her to actually die here. But if she does die against Dabura and this is broadcasted or spread somehow, I do believe that this is going to be the trigger for Yuji to take some form of action against the Cimmerians and allow himself to be a deterrent. To even hear of a young Jujutsu sorcerer being killed by Dabura so Dabura can rule a city of cursed spirits and protect them is going to spark something in him specifically for 2 reasons. 1. This will go against every single thing he and even Gojo stands for. Yuji has been cursed to carry on and eventually end the endless marathon of Jujutsu sorcery through many characters in the previous series. To see an entity like Dabura come in and not only protect them but put them on a pedestal, basically priming them to take over the earth, will have to trigger his curses some way or somehow. It's a smack in the face to everybody who's died for him and him himself. Second, Yuka Okotsu is the granddaughter of Yuta Okotsu, Yuji's dear friend and somewhat of an older brother figure to him. Yuji has relied on Yuta heavily during the events of the original series, and he does not seem like the type to just be like, okay or whatever with anything happening to Yuta's grandchildren if he were made aware, especially under these circumstances. Dabura, despite not being anywhere close to evil, is sadly going to make an enemy of Yuji, even if he doesn't take Yuka's life. I also have to point out all of the death flags that surround Yuji in this series, especially with the recent events. First, Yuji's mudra is the mudra of Kshitigarbha, a bodhisattva who will continue to purify all realms endlessly before he himself can ascend to Buddhahood. Given what this represents and what we know of the curses from the original story that hang over Yuji's head, I can only assume that Yuji is driven by an insatiable desire to truly end the cycle of curses, and once this is complete, he'll somehow pass away. Although the defeat of Sukuna has contributed massively to these efforts, his job is not finished, as we can see with the current day Tokyo, so it is possible that he can still quote-unquote ascend to Buddhahood once the job's finished. There's also the fact that Yuji was originally supposed to die at the end of the story in order to defeat Sukuna, and he has always been ready to make the sacrifice play no matter what. Lastly, to get into his grandfather's curse once more, I have to say that I think it's poetic for Yuji to pass away at this point, especially given the fact that all of his friends are now gone. Yuji's grandfather cursing him led him into becoming Sukuna's host one way or another. It's important to acknowledge this, as this curse was for Yuji to become someone who helps as many people as he possibly can so he can never die alone. Yuji did end up helping as many people as possible. With the defeat of Sukuna, he saved billions of lives bare minimum, and he had helped so many people already on his way to finally confronting Sukuna for the final time. Ironically, him defeating Sukuna would require him to become a death painting womb so he can keep up with Sukuna and withstand many of his blows, and by proxy, this also made him immortal and cursed to watch all the people he loves grow and wither away as he remained on the earth. In a way, we can say that this curse for Yuji to die surrounded by the people he loves had the opposite effect that his grandfather wanted it to, but we also can't conclude that because Yuji's journey is not done yet. Another way we can see this is that this curse allowed Yuji to actually live a life with the people he loves and see them all live happy lives, instead of him dying surrounded by others, which he likely would have done had he never set on the perfect path to take down Sukuna. Sukuna probably would have killed him, and his friends likely would have been there to witness it or something. But hey, at least he died surrounded by those that he loved. There's many ways to take this, however, you get the point. There's a huge sense of irony with this curse that has set Yuji on his journey. Of course, on top of all of this madness, we have Mahito and the somewhat likely event of his return into the story of Modulo. Since he was hinted at with his brief moment with Tsurugi, I think it's very much possible for him to return, and with him being a humanoid curse that can take any shape or form, the Sumerians will likely think he's some sort of Kallian god or prophet and protect him. What's Mahito's goal? Yes, the eradication of humanity and to torture Yuji Tadori personally. Remember, Jogo even stated himself that Mahito is literally death incarnate, and that he is the one to carry his will of making cursed spirits the dominant species. With the Sumerians in the picture now, this is more than likely possible, and if Mahito returns, that's obviously just another thing coming for Yuji's head. But the reason why I don't think something like this would play out the way we think it would is because there is no denying that Yuji as a death painting womb is closer to a Kallian than any cursed spirit could ever be. And not only this, there's also him being a representative of humanity who's said to be the only one who can match the calamity that is Dabura. These factors combined would certainly allow Yuji to gain the respect of the Sumerians no matter how things played out, as the Sumerian race values strength above all else, and the Rumelian tribe specifically revere Kallian beast and anything close to them as well. Yuji is funnily enough the perfect deterrent in every sense of the word. So yeah, although I do believe this conflict will free Yuji of his current fate in solitude some way somehow, I would understand if things went in the opposite direction and he was just made into the Sumerian king or some nonsense like that. I also think that Yuji should just pass away at this point because he's clearly miserable, but can't just throw away his life as so many people have thrown away theirs just to preserve his. He's in a dilemma, and I really do think his character doesn't deserve to be in such a miserable fate. His character is literally the epitome of irony. With that said, I think Yuji's conclusion is near, as really, there's a ton of evidence to support that he was always supposed to die in the series, and currently, He's stuck in an endless, isolating pursuit of the complete eradication of all curses in existence. With the current conflict coming up, I feel as if Yuji will finally have the chance to end the cycle of curses and to finally pass away or quote-unquote ascend to Buddhahood after emptying all hells. Hopefully, he succeeds. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.